Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So the question today is, why do I feel demotivated? And for me, that was a question I asked again and again. So you see, when I started my first business, which was a hypnotherapist, which I don't do now, I got very quickly into business networking, where I met a lot of people and I started to listen to a lot of talks, and I started to work with a business coach and things like that, things that I thought I should be doing to be a successful business owner. And that is not saying you shouldn't have a business coach at all. Definitely a good idea. And I bought into an idea that I was supposed to be motivated pretty much all the time. Not pretty much all the time. I don't know why I put the words pretty much in there, because that's not at all the case. I thought I was supposed to be motivated all the time, like day in and day out. I was supposed to wake up every day, bounce out of bed, feeling motivated and get on. I mean, and as I've been exploring this subject of motivation this week, it's become more and more obvious, really, that there is no such thing. As I explore it even deeper, it's an inside created idea of what we think we're supposed to feel like to do things, and it's an illusion, really. But that exploration of why do I feel demotivated took me down all sorts of very interesting rabbit holes, shall we call them. So one of the main ones was the past, and the therapy that I undertook involved this kind of story. The story was that I wasn't motivated, or that I was self-sabotaging, I guess is what people would call it. I was self-sabotaging because I didn't feel like I was good enough. And so the aim of the poking around in the past stuff was to find out where I had learned to not feel good enough, and therefore had learned to undermine myself by procrastinating, by not being motivated, by not getting things done. And the story was, the story that came out of that therapeutic process was that when I was 3, my brother was born, and my nose was pushed out, and I didn't therefore feel good enough anymore because my parents needed to have another child, which may or may not be true. Like, I am never ever denying the conditioning process, but I'm not 100% sure. In fact, I'm much less than 100% sure that there is a point going back over and over again to try and find this one thing that happened to us when we were small. Like, having an overview of the things we might have learned from childhood is helpful, but going and poking into specific memories, to me, does not seem to be particularly helpful. Like, it creates a lot of suffering. I mean, most of those sessions that I did, counseling, I used to call counseling my crying hour. So I used to go and get into an emotional state, which at that point was really unhealthy because I had adrenal burnout. So I was exhausted afterwards and could barely function for the next few days. And the hypnotherapy just was a crying, snotty mess. And that was inner child work to go back under hypnosis to try and find. So if you love these ways of doing things and therapies and stuff, then, and they're helping you, that is not what I'm talking about. But for me, they became a ridiculous level of poking around and prodding, really. And never really finding the answer and finding a lot of lies on the way. Like, there was one memory I went back to, which when I told my mum about it, she said it could never have happened because it involved my granddad and my brother who were not alive at the same time. So there was an awful lot of stuff that was just my poor brain, I think, my poor mind trying to find an answer to a question that was not answerable, really. So that was a lot of it. Then there was all the books, productivity books, all the habit books, all the 5-second rule type things, the 4-hour work week, and then all the tools that were practically like productivity management tools and task management tools and things like that. Things that bimmed? Things that popped up. I don't know what bimmed is. Beeped up or popped up or pinged at me. Yeah, I think it was a combination of all those words that just came out of my mouth then. They all things that popped up to tell me to do things, those kind of things. But then also things like affirmations, a lot of mine were like, "You will be motivated. I am motivated every day," and that kind of thing. A lot of that and a lot of other therapeutic tools and techniques and stuff. The irony of all that is that I think it probably took more time. I could have just got the things done really, going round and round and round in circles, trying to find a way to feel more motivated. I could have just got on with it. And really, when by the time I went for my first 3 Principles coaching experience with my friend Peter Slay in January 2020, I was absolutely exhausted with it. I was frustrated, angry with myself and felt like I was going round and round in circles. I'd have these little patches where I felt great and I was like, "Oh, I'm there." And then of course the old stuff would come back up again and I wouldn't be there again and it was really, really tiring. Um and really what's happened and what has happened over the last few years has been so transformational. And there's a few things to know about that. The first thing is that I stopped almost immediately, or within a very few months of starting my 3 Principles journey, my inside out journey, I stopped doing all those things that I've just told you about quite quickly. Because I kind of stopped trying to fix myself because I think that was maybe one of the first things that Peter told me is that there was nothing really wrong with me. Um, that to see that was helpful, and that helped me to stop doing all the things. And the irony is that what really happens is the more we're seeking to feel differently, the more we hold that feeling in place. So if we're seeking to feel more motivated or better about doing tasks, whatever you might call that, less resistance to doing tasks perhaps, the more we focus on that being, the more we kind of egg on the belief that that's who we are, the more we see that, because there is this clever system called confirmation bias, which deletes information that doesn't fit your or it doesn't show you the information that doesn't fit with your belief system, and it shows you lots and lots of the information that does. So it's trying to make itself true. Very clever system, but not particularly helpful if you're trying to make a change in your life. So what I've noticed is that as I have what's happened is I now understand that if I feel resistance to doing a task, that is resistive thinking, not to do with the task. And that it's my conditioning that brings about that resisted feeling. And that now I know my conditioning isn't really a reflection of truly who I am. It's just what I learned from other people who were upset with me or told me rubbish or, said rude things to me or whatever, the catalogue of things that we learn as we're growing up from all sorts of places that create our reality of what people are like, what we're like, how we fit with other people and how it all works. All of that conditioning is what I feel when I'm resisting doing something. That it's a feeling that comes from the conditioning. It doesn't mean I can't do the thing. So we don't really, why do we feel demotivated is because our conditioning is being triggered. Not sure I like that word, but anyway, our conditioning is being ramped up by something that we are being invited to do, or we are inviting ourselves to do, and the resistance is coming from there. That's why, it's almost the other way around. It's not that we feel, it is more that way, but we feel demotivated, and that's a layer over the essence of who we are. Like I said before, babies don't need motivation. They just do things. And as human beings, we are naturally inclined to do things. I've also said this before, if we didn't do things in the past, we'd be dead. Because we wouldn't have food. If you didn't get off your backside and go find food, you died. It's very simple. So there was no, our ancestors were not looking to feel motivated or to feel better about doing tasks or anything like that. They were just doing things because survival needed them to do things. And so it was a no-brainer, really. And that's where I'd love more and more of you to get to, is that just doing the thing that is going to progress your business or your life in some way, or make you fitter or healthier, or have you look after your body better, or have you make changes that are going to be really transformational for you, that none of that is blocked by this old stuff, which is what's coming up in the feeling. So whatever it is you would love to do that you're not feeling motivated to do, I would love you to see that it's all possible. There's nothing really there stopping you other than an old program running. And it's an old program that can, and quite easily really, can start to be let go of. Not change, not deliberately, but as you start to realise what it is, there's a feeling. Oh, that feeling is just letting me know that my conditioning's being triggered a bit here. Then that's it. There's just the next step forward, without being influenced by any of that. So I hope you found that helpful. You don't need to, why do you feel demotivated? Because your conditioning's creating a feeling in your body. That's it. That's all it is. And the next thing to do is do the thing, which is what I spoke about yesterday. So hopefully you found that helpful. I hope you get what you would love to get done. Get done today. Get done today. I don't know what that was. Sending lots of love. And of course, if you'd like to explore how to have a life that is not blocked by your feelings, then you know where I am. Oh, I've not said it like that before. I really like that. Have a life that's not blocked by your feelings. Nice. Lots of love. Take care, and do reach out. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.